Welcome everybody. As you're settling in, won't you relax and take a deep breath, maybe the deepest breath you've taken so far today. A day to let go of something. That's what Shabbat is. Hold the things that really matter, let go of everything else. And singing is a way to enter that space. We turn to page 128 in your prayer book. Hine matov, how good to be together. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Everybody. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat shalom, everyone. So many familiar faces and some new ones too, and all are equally welcome. We're happy to see all of you. I'm glad to be here to lead us in prayer together with Josh Kalish, Mando Man, always trustworthy assistant up here, and I appreciate it. We begin in a place of solidarity with our brothers and sisters from around the Jewish world as we continue to pray for an end to the horrible war in the Middle East and to pray for the release of every single hostage. So I invite those of you who received a little slip of paper from Stu with the names of hostages still held in captivity. Could you please rise at this time? We will together read the names, if you have them in your hands, in one voice as we pray for their swift release. Please, friends, feel free to read their names. you can stay standing. Everyone else, please rise. We turn to our prayer sheet. And Susan and Robin have a few more if you didn't get one on the way in. Feel free to join in Hebrew or English or both. Achenu ve'achiotenu kol beit Yisrael, hanatunim b'tzara v'shivya, ha'omdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha, hamakom yirachem aleihem, v'yotzi'em mitzara l'revacha, u'me'afela l'ora, u'meshi'abud l'geula, ashta ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Our brothers and sisters, the whole house of Israel who are in distress and captivity, who wander over sea and over land, may God have mercy on them and bring them from distress to comfort, from darkness to light, from slavery to redemption, now, swiftly, and soon, as together we say, Amen. Let that be our intention as we bring light into this space and in so many Jewish homes around the world. It will be such a bright moment when they are all reunited with their families. Feel free to have a seat, everybody. We take a moment to greet somebody around you, maybe somebody you haven't yet met. Wish them a Shabbat Shalom. For those of you who missed it, last night was a very special evening with quite a creative Purim spiel. I'd like to invite anybody who was a player in the Purim spiel last night to please come up for the lighting of the Shabbat candles. I see at least a few of you here in the room. If you participated in the wicked side of Purim, some of you were more wicked than others. That's Haman. In case. We haven't lit candles yet, so you can still say boo, because it's still Purim. The only time we'll ever encourage booing anyone. Lighting of the Shabbat candles is on page 120. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadliknem shel shamayim. Thank you all, and Shabbat Shalom. And you clean up real nice from your costumes, I must say. Page 130, Kabbalat Shabbat. Lechu neranena v'Adonai nariya letzor yesh'enu nekadem afanav v'todah v'zemirot nariya lo. Page 131. The first two lines are reversed in the Hebrew, so it's just to keep us on our toes. And then there's Little English. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Let's try it again. You sound great. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. We'll all sing along. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Everybody, Shiru. Shiru L'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai shir all sing along. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Let's hear it. I know you've got it now. Shiru Ladonai. That means sing it out. Kol Haaretz Shiru Ladonai. Shir Chadash. I will sing unto God a new song. Turn a couple of pages, if you would. Top of page 134. Zameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar, hariu lifnei hamelech Adonai, yirav hayam u'mlo'o, tevel v'yoshvei Neharot Yimcha Uchaf Yachad Harim Yiranenu Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Haaretz Lishpot Tevel B'tzedek Be'amim Beresharim Yiram Hayam Umlo'o Tevel Ve'yoshveva Ne'arot Yimcha Uchaf Yachad Harim Yiranenu. Let's just try Yalala. You can even close your eyes. Let the melody wash over you. It's a really pretty one, isn't it? Yadai, dai, 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 dai. Yadai, dai, 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 dai. Yadai, dai, 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 yadai, dai, dai, dai. Yadai, dai, 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 dai. Yadai, dai, 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 dai. Yadai. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Page 138. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha, ishmianu el ha'meyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'liti la 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 la, lecha lecha. Can't hear you. Penei penei Shabbat nekabela. I know I'm pretty loud, but you should be louder. Lecha dodi likat likat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 2. Likat Shabbat lechu v'necha, imekor beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tchila, la 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 la, lecha lecha dodi, likat likat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. alaychem la 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 lecha lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela lecha lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 5. Itoreri, itoreri, kiva orech uri, 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 shidabei. Kvod Adonai alaych nigla, lecha dodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi, likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Just a moment, we'll face the entrance to welcome this holy presence into our space, into our hearts. I invite you to please rise as we face the entrance to the space. Verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'v'tzola toch emunei am skula. Boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. It's your last chance. Lecha lecha dodi likrat b'nei nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Page 146. Please stay standing. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed. Page 149. Let's read together at the top of the page. Blessing for the evening. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the currents of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, Ama'ariv Aravi. page 150. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amchavta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otan limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shochbeinu v'kumeinu Nasiach lechutecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה יומם ולילה אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema, page 152. 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Please have a seat. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta bam, veshivtecha bevetecha, uvelechtecha vaderech, uveshochbecha uvekumecha, ukishartam leot ayadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha, uchetavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמן. Each moment in our Jewish story is a critical one for us because it is not just of one time. The Exodus didn't just happen when it happened. The Sinai moment didn't just happen when it happened. All of these are unfolding every day and every moment for us. The experience of freedom comes for us, asks us, demands us to increase freedom for others. Right? The Sinai moment reaches out to us from across the generations and invites us into a covenant, a certain agreement, arrangement, a holy identity. So these are eternal moments that even as they were a moment in time really are for all times. And that's probably why we have Passover coming up to celebrate our freedom too. But we sing the song in every service. Let's read on page 157. Why? Top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. Let's read together. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, the promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining our hands, marching together. Page 158. Mi chamocha.
Tehilot, Osefele, Osefele, Malachutecha ra'uv anecha, Bokeam lifnei Moshe, Malachutecha ra'uv anecha, Bokeam lifnei Miriam, Zeli, Anu. Everybody. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Jody and Stu, I need you for this one. Would you mind? Page 161. A simple idea, maybe it even seems a little naive to you, but if it works, it's at the basis of our country's restoration, I think. Let there be love and understanding among us. We did this in E, right? Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let's try let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Now top of 160. Ashkiveinu Adonai Eloheinu Ashkiveinu Le'shalom. Let's try Hashkiveinu. Hashkiveinu for shelter and peace. Adonai Eloheinu for connection and calm. Hashkiveinu le'shalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Keep singing with them. Let there be love. Watch me. And understanding among us. Sing that a few more times, okay? Let peace and friendship. Okay, left side, you're going to do Hashkiveinu with me. Be brave, be bold, you can do it. Sing it out. Here we go. Hashkiveinu and understanding
peace
and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Just our voices. Stay on your part.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let there be friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Shomreinu lechayim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Everybody, let there be love.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. We praise you, Adonai. Your shelter is over us, over our people, over Jerusalem. Thank you, Jody and Stu. Thank you to all of you for your beautiful voices. I don't know how many of you remember learning about the golden calf in religious school. It's the story of the first incident of idolatry in Judaism. Moses delays from coming down from Mount Sinai, and the people get impatient, and according to Aaron, they just throw in some jewelry, and oops, out pops this calf. They then bow down to it and substitute it for God. Not very kosher, if you ask me. But it is coming from an understandable place, because our ancestors were used to an environment of polytheism, and specifically of images of polytheism. Judaism was really the first to express that there was a single God, on the one hand, and that single God was not visible, and not only not visible, but not represented by a thing. If you can imagine a more difficult uphill battle theologically to chart for people who were used to bowing down to statues and praying to many gods, it would be hard to imagine it. And so it's kind of amazing when you think about it that we've lasted this long and that it really caught on. And not only that, but it birthed other monotheistic religions, as we know. So why do we have this beautiful space, right? Why do we have a beautiful building? We're supposed to have beautiful times, right? Judaism sanctifies times. We do the Kiddush at the end of the service, right? We sanctify the day. We make it holy. The great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel talked about Shabbat not as a cathedral in space, but a cathedral in time. We have conceptual beauty around the way we demarcate time and express holiness in Judaism, not necessarily focusing on the things. But the truth is that people need concrete realizations of the holy in order to connect to the holy sometimes. It's a little too much to ask that we only focus on the abstract concepts called the ethical monotheistic presence beyond our understanding. It's really hard to make a connection to that. It's hard for us to make a connection to the idea called once a day you just need to drop it. Drop it all and just stop. It's hard, so we have rituals that bring us back into that. So I'm not telling you to worship a golden calf, but I hope that it can help direct our hearts to the ways that the physical and that the tangible are really just supposed to be vehicles to that which is truly not to be touched and only to be felt. Page 164, please rise for the Amidah. We begin together, and then we'll take a moment for silent prayer. Rise if you're comfortable doing so. Page 164. Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avod Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei Vneihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. 168. Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atarav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, micha mocha baal givurot, umido melach, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Ata Kadosh, V'shimecha Kadosh, U'kedoshim B'chol Yom Yehallelu Chasela. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 173, let's read this. It's really hitting me these days. Middle of the page, 173. Together, disturb us, Adonai. Ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness, and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Together, Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Blessed are you, O God, you sanctify and make holy this time of Shabbat. We continue silently through page 180. Osei shalom bimromav, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Who among us has not led a helping hand to another person in a time of need? And who among us has not needed a helping hand ourselves when we are ill, when we are in need of strength or support? So I read this intention called Take My Hand. When all seems dark and darkness is harsh, take my hand. When I cannot see light even in the brightest day, give me your hand. When I am tired and every breath is heavy, take my hand. When my words do not grasp the depth of yearning in my soul, give me your hand. When my feelings are overwhelming or dulled, take my hand. When I am confused and don't know what to do, give me your hand. So that we may be together, take my hand. Tonight we pray for those who are in need of healing from illness and difficulty in life. And they include Mark and Ellen Warner, David Sokoloff, Wendy Lee, Bruce Petroff, Paul Frisman, Kenneth Schachter, Vivian Liu, Gloria Newell, Harris Sokoloff, Phyllis Balto, Jill Glick, Alice McNeil, Barbara Tabak, Stuart Katz, Hardy Schreiber, Rick Calvert, Greg Imler, Diana Garabo Rosenberg, Steve Asnis, Michael Bernstein, Jane Lesser, El Masori, Chris Swirsky, Bob Jacob, John Van Steenbergen, Carol Robb, Mary Gregory, Randy Retkin, Linda Liguore, Michael Campanelli, Emily Belgard, Tom Solik, Pamela Johnson, Jay Fliss, Bart Young, Sidney Scher, Matthew Pincus, Max White, and Jodell Young. We also add our own loved ones to these prayers, which you can share your loved one's name aloud if you wish, or, of course, think of them in your heart. The prayer is equally valid either way. Who else are we thinking of tonight? You say it one more time. Zisha, Bad, Ika. Thank you. Eli Kov, Gov, Sarah, Sharon Gaynor, Elaine Fresner, Maddie Bryant, Connie Ambrosino. We pray Mishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu in the merit of our ancestors, Abraham and Isaac, Jacob, Rachel, Rebecca, Sarah. May they find healing and peace. Mishaberach is on your prayer sheet supplement. Mishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your own. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mi sheberach avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mi sheberach imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our fathers, may the one who blessed our mothers, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Well, I've already primed you for the story of the golden calf, which I recounted in short a moment ago, but just to remind you, when Moses is going up the mountain to get the Ten Commandments, the people start to worry. I quote now the book of Exodus. The people gathered against Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us a god, aseh lanu Elohim asher yelchu lefanav. Make us a god that shall go before us. For that guy Moses, that man who brought us from the land of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." This is, by the way, an unusual amount of insight psychologically into why the people do what they do, which those of you who study a lot of Torah know the Torah doesn't always give you. So it's kind of rich in that narrative detail. Aaron tells the people to take off their jewelry. Out comes the calf. It's actually a young bull, but they call it the golden calf. Much has been made of this story as a tale of lost faith. But tonight I want to ask the question, who have the Israelites really lost faith in? Moses delays, so they make an idol. But the Torah says nothing about their loss of faith in God. I'm going to read this again. Come, make us a god who shall go before us. For that fellow Moses, the man who brought us from the land of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. Who have they really lost faith in? I think the issue all along is, in fact, Moses. Our great Torah commentator Rashi substantiates this as he explains, when the Israelites were waiting for many weeks for Moses' return, Satan came out and tricked them by showing something that looked like a body of Moses being carried on a bier high above in the sky. Should save this one for Halloween next year. In this reading, the Israelites were convinced that Moses was dead. But they didn't. What could they have done? They could have appointed another leader. But what did they do instead? They built a god. They decided they needed to build a god to replace him. Remember, this is the same Moses who just a few months prior had turned the Nile into blood, had stuck his staff in the sea and it split. I'm guessing that they don't just see him at this point as a leader. I bet they thought of him as a god. Maybe then the real heresy of the calf story started with the way they related to their leader. Remember what I was saying before about needing something concrete to attach to connect spiritually? What if that wasn't a thing at all, but it was a person? Read this way, the story becomes a cautionary tale against ascribing ultimate power to any one human being. Now, Judaism has a very complex relationship with power. We have mostly in our history not had it, or not had much of it, and we have mostly not had any desire to exercise it over others. Nevertheless, we have needed to find ways to rule over ourselves. In biblical days, there were the prophets and the judges, and then the kings, exactly. When the people came to the prophet Samuel requesting to appoint the first king, Samuel warned them severely against it. Did you know that? He said, hey, don't do that. A king might levy taxes that you don't like. Hey, think again. A king might take your property if you're not careful. Hey, you should give that a second thought, guys. A king might conscript you into forced labor or military service. It's all up to the king if you appoint the king. Still, the people do choose to appoint a king, and the outcome, which is told subsequently throughout the books of Samuel and Kings, is actually quite disastrous. God later confronts Samuel, saying, don't worry, it's not you they're rebelling against, it's me. Much like the people's idolatry in this week's Torah portion, their projection of superhuman power onto a single person leads to horrendous consequences. The consequences of too much power in too few hands. Can you imagine a more relevant theme today? In fact, this theme is on display every day in our country. There are so many topics we could choose, but the one I want to address is the one that you've been thinking about too, and that's the detention of Mahmoud Khalil. Khalil was one of the lead organizers in the Columbia University protests that made headline news. I think that Khalil, as well as those who violated Columbia's rules, should have been expelled, but he was not expelled. He didn't get expelled, but as you heard, federal agents showed up at his dorm and whisked him away. They took him from his wife, who is 8 months pregnant, and a U.S. citizen, which is legally relevant, by the way. Khalil is now at a detention facility in Louisiana, and the administration is promising to deport him. The thing is, though, he is a lawful permanent resident. He has a green card. And as of the last time I looked this up, although it could have changed in the last few hours, he has not been charged with any crime. This, by the way, is within the bounds of U.S. immigration law. But I do not need to remind us that not everything legal is necessarily ethical. While it is tempting to cheer for Khalil's detention, I just want to invite us to consider the following. What if this man was a pro-Israel protester? What if a Jewish student whose protests for some reason disrupted student life and campus rules then became subject to deportation? Imagine, for instance, the president sours on Netanyahu, as has happened, by the way, with so many other foreign leaders over the last many years. Imagine what would happen if supporting the Israeli government's policies suddenly becomes grounds for the deportation of Israelis. Is it that hard to imagine that that could happen? What if certain Jews are subject then to those policies based on their perceived dual loyalties or questions about their true loyalty? These might seem overly paranoid, but I promise you, if you read a book about Jewish history, they are not paranoid at all. They are what has happened to Jews over and over and over and over again throughout history. The First Amendment is one of the great gifts of the modern world because it's supposed to apply to speech broadly, not just speech that is tolerable at any one time or to any one person. Now, the ACLU made waves in the 90s, and it continues to, because it agrees to defend some pretty odious people, like, Ku Klux Klan members and the like. But if you think about it, this makes a certain kind of sense. The Constitution is not meant to apply selectively. Every citizen enjoys freedom of expression. A private university may decide that that is not so on its campus, but the government does not have the power to decide that for them. The fact that Khalil is not a citizen is really the wrench. It's the fly in the ointment here. And legally, it's what makes things a lot more complicated. Now, because I am not a legal expert or an immigration law expert, this week I discussed this matter with an immigration attorney. I also read an analysis of this by Jed Rubenfeld. Did you read that article? He's a Yale constitutional law professor. If you want to look this up, what I'm sharing tonight online, I'll link to that article so you can read it too. And once you read that article, you'll understand how very complicated and nuanced this case will be. In short, there are arguments to support both sides of the debate. Now, I want to be very clear here. This man broke school rules and openly advocates for the destruction of Western society. I'm not making that up. That's what it actually says. I don't particularly want him to be at an American university. I personally don't want him to be in our country. Yet, if Khalil is deported without due process, it will be a chilling event reminiscent of some of the darker chapters of American and European history. In fact, if you read the article that I will link in this sermon, you will see that there's precedent on both sides to argue, okay? And the precedent that is likely to be cited in defense of his deportation, and stay with me, this is a little technical, but I know you can do it, is the 1952 case Heresiades versus Shaughnessy. In this case, the Supreme Court upheld the deportation of lawful permanent residents, like Khalil, who had once been members of the Communist Party long ago. The ruling affirmed that the government had power to deport non-citizens for past political affiliations, even if they had since renounced them. Notably, this was in 1952. This decision came at the height of McCarthyism, which, as I don't have to tell you, was a very scary time for civil liberties in our country. Jews were disproportionately impacted in those days, in those anti-communist inquisitions, which were rife with anti-Semitism. Absent constitutional protections and safeguards, any administration could go after any of its enemies, real or perceived, in this way. The level of unaccountable power is, I would argue, a form of political idolatry. The golden calf debacle, which we read each year, warns us against putting ultimate power in human hands. This Khalil case is a test of whether we truly, as a country, believe in the principles of free speech and due process, even and especially for those whose points of view we despise. The German pastor Martin Niemöller encapsulated this problem when he famously warned us, "First they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. And then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me." Shabbat Shalom. Please rise for Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586. Aleinu L'Shabeach La'adon HaKol, Lateit Gedula Leotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoyei Ha'aratzot, Velo Samanu Kemishbechot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkeinu Kahem, Vegor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, Vanachnu Koreim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, page 591, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated, everyone. Nā לשבת. As we transition into a space of memory, we think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years gone by, all those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own, all of the innocent victims and those who have suffered because of the horrible war in Israel and Gaza. We draw them all into our hearts as we say Zichronam Livracha, that their memory should be for a blessing. As I read the name of your loved one for the mourner's Kaddish, I invite you, if you're comfortable, please rise and stay standing. In the period of Shiva and Shloshim, we remember Alan Sterencier, husband of Margie Sterencier, father of Amy Lee. Michael Love, father of Jody Love Arnold. Alan Belsky, brother of Irma Grable and Leslie Mallamson. In the period of Yahrzeit, we remember Rob Carter, Barbara Lee, George Walker, Milton Bayer, Rose Geringer, Gladys Handelman, Murray Stutz, Regina Schanzer, Sarah Weiler, Howard Fox, Janet Kevrick, Henry M. Rothberg, Leonard Greenberg, Doris Thrush, Geraldine Stutzman, and Milton Sachs. I know there are other mourners in our community tonight. I invite them to please rise and be recognized in their period of mourning. And I invite us to please rise in solidarity with our friends as we join our brothers and sisters from around the Jewish world in reciting these words over 2,000 years old. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach re'utei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehe shemei rabbah mevorach le'alam u'le'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehe shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May the source of holiness bring peace into our world and comfort into the hearts of all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, Amen. Please have a seat, everybody. Nā לשבת. Is it Robin or Susan tonight? Both, please come up, both. 2 for 1. Here, come over here. This mic is a little louder for you. Robin Baslow and Susan Smith are here to greet us on behalf of our synagogue leadership. Speak right into the microphone.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for your words of Torah and for a beautiful service and for the music tonight. You all sounded great. Okay.
So, we have a warm welcome to all guests here with us tonight. Susan Smith and
Robin Baslow.
we're the Social Justice Committee co-chairs. As we read these announcements, keep in mind also that the details and links are in your shofar and shofar blast. Join us tomorrow at 8 a.m. for Jewish meditation and mindfulness in person and on Zoom. And again at 9 o'clock on Zoom or in person for Torah study, led by Ira Wise. voting for World Zionist Congress has begun. It's important for all of us to help secure Israel's future. Consult the poster in the lobby and check your inbox. In addition, Salty has been working hard for the Purim Carnival on Sunday. Please come in costume and join the fun. There will be games, pizza, and fun.
And there's even more learning, music, and fun coming up this month at TBT. Rabbi Moss, What is Judaism classes begin next week. Guest musician Noah Aronson will be there here at the end of the month, and there's much more. Now's the time to show up. Are there any March birthdays here? Well, if you know anyone who was born in March, please wish them a happy birthday, and also remind them to consider donating groceries and household items to our local food pantries. You can drop them off in the baskets located at the TBT vestibule. Also, going off a little bit off script here, we have two things going on right now, working at the Branford Community Dining Room, and then at the end of the month, Raise the Roof. Let me say we have volunteers. They tend to be on the Alta Kaka side. We need some, we need some young, strong people. So please consider joining us. We're fun, but you know we're old, so we need some.
We need a boost from the younger element.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Go off script because you get funny. Oh. Okay, this was a very important part of my childhood, that every single Seder, we would end the Seder with Hallel, okay? Hallel is the prescribed psalms that you're supposed to say as a part of many services throughout the day, and also the Passover Seder. But my grandmother in particular, every single year it had to be the American psalm, God Bless America. I don't know if any of you sing this at your Seder. No? That's not a part of your tradition? No? Yeah, so some are very strongly shaking their heads and others are very strongly nodding, and it definitely depends on what was in your Haggadah. And that itself is a discussion worthy of study and reflection. But in any event, I feel like being patriotic, and I hope you'll join me. I feel like being optimistic, so I hope you'll join me. Page 680, God Bless America. 680, our closing song. After the service, I hope you'll join. We'll go straight into the social hall to make Kiddush, so please schmooze there. It's as good as schmoozing in here, but there's food. So have a sip, have a challah, and I look forward to greeting you then. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et ama b'shalom. God, give us the strength to be stewards and makers of peace. Shabbat shalom. Hey, Kiddush, come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. I'll also need a pre-B'nai mitzvah child or two for the challah. Anybody like that? Is there anybody like that? No? Come on in, filter in, filter in. It's not wine, Eddie. It's never wine. Sorry to get your hopes up. Friends, please join, please join. Come on in. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri agafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziad mitzrayim. Ivanu v'acharta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ava uvratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat, Lechaim. Lechaim. I'm counting. 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon, which means bon appetit. I don't know the English for that, do you? No. Yeah. Please. Thank you.